Today's topic is 5 ways to be more creative. You might already know some of the ways that you are being creative, but sometimes we don't even know what creativity actually means. And I went on the web and really looked at all the questions that people are asking. And one of the top questions is that what is creativity? Like, what does it mean to be creative? And I think there's a lot of confusion. It's just hard to kind of grasp when we're just using this word creativity every day, and it's required in jobs or it's a skill set, but we don't really know what it means to have creativity in our lives. So, we're also going to talk about that today. So, just a quick agenda of today's masterclass. So it'll be just about an hour. We're doing an intro right now, and there'll be a section for what is creativity? Like, what does it mean to be creative? And I'll share a little bit of my creative journey, my story of how I became more creative and unleash my own creativity. And we will get into the 5 ways to get creative in your life today. And I have the same um, title workshop called Unleash Your Creativity. And audience questions are pretty much kind of lumped together in certain categories. So I already pulled these questions beforehand, give you more ideas how to unleash your creativity and really maybe just get rid of that doubt if you're really creative, right? And before we close, I will also extend my invitation to work with me if you are interested in getting some support for your creativity. But my intention is for you to take some learnings about creativity. Maybe you'll get an idea that creativity might be fun for you. So, what is creativity? And we all have these notions of what creativity means to us, but it could be kind of lumped into 3 different categories. So, creativity could be generating new ideas for problem solving, and that kind of goes into the innovation category. So, if you're familiar with maybe careers or jobs that require a lot of complex problem solving, that could be like innovation um, in action. So, you're always brainstorming or you're solving biggest world problems, but it could be innovation on a personal level. And the second bucket that you see here, the arts. So the arts categories, obviously, most people think what creativity is. So it's an artistic endeavor, so using your imagination and having original ideas. And usually it brings us some kind of entertainment value. Could be just joy for your own sake, or it could just bring a sense of creativity and play. So it really is. And if you look at the questions that people ask a lot these days, how is creativity related to innovation? How is creativity related to play? How is creativity related to intelligence? And I think Einstein said creativity is just intelligence having fun. So it's basically some sort of play element is always in creativity, but it doesn't have to be only the artistic. And there's different parts of arts that could be creative. I just hope that with this information, you'll just open your mind to different ways to be creative. And last bucket, I put it new perspective. So, new perspective is just simple. Maybe when you're always redecorating your house or changing things around, like furniture, or just thinking of new routes to take to your work or school or to take your kids somewhere. And it's just always some form of new combination of things. You're always giving ideas to your friends or family or spouse. And it just helps you communicate better And maybe you're seeing a new perspective of the other person, that having more empathy. So I also wanted to touch on the benefits of creativity, which is also a popular topic these days. And definitely creativity fosters sense of play, and it helps us use different parts of our brain so we have more balanced thinking that helps us connect to others better. And the very first bucket, innovation. So it helps us deal with different challenges and how the world is changing so quickly. So if you think about the opposite side of creativity, which is sort of like having a fixed mindset, and if you're stuck in that fixed kind of paradigm of viewing things or generating ideas or talking to people, you're not going to have a lot of new ideas or just new ways of doing things. And that might hinder your career some way. But it's just personal choice. But I think there are a lot of benefits to creativity, having better mental health, more joy and calm in our lives, and more balanced thinking. Yeah, if you have experienced sort of those benefits of creativity, just send me a chat and we'll also take note of those. Okay, so I just wanted to mention before we go into the 5 ways to get creative that a lot of people ask me if creativity can be actually taught or learned, because some people seem like they're born creative, but we all go through different systems of school and work, and sometimes we don't really know if it's going to be changed. And I just want to really say that creativity can, it's like a muscle. It can be taught, it can be practiced, it can be learned, and it can be unleashed. So I just want to quickly touch on my story, but you can go back to the recording and read it. Um, as I said earlier, I really didn't think I was creative, but I knew there was something that I could do with this, like a desire and the expression that it's inside me that could be unleashed for the world. But with the school system I was in, it's very conventional, rigid, and my family was all about business and corporate life or being a professional. So they thought creativity was just kind of like a frivolous, and it was not something serious. So even though I was enrolled in some art classes and here and there, and I was kind of doing my own thing, sending like a newsletter kind of thing when I was like younger, and somehow it got picked up by this news journalism agency. But I didn't think that was like a real thing, because every time I got excited about it, or family or friends or teachers, they're like, okay, that's just one piece of drawing. Like, you're not going to be an artist. You're not going to be in like a successful celebrity. So, and it was just kind of met with judgment and a lot of creative shame eventually. It just kept happening over the years. And it just got to a point that I just couldn't deny that other part of me. You know, you could be successful in careers and you have all the other things, but there's something that you kind of feel that there's more I could do with my gifts, or there's more I could do with my ideas or expressions, or some type of this energy that lives inside us. So one baby step at a time. I won't go into all the details. I met a mentor and my creative tribe who helped me consistently express my creativity safely. And we'll go back to that point later. And I kept expressing myself and explored different parts of my creativity. I went on lots of adventures, but they're not like huge like trips. I mean, there was a couple trips, but like I went on small adventures that I like, big adventures that I like, and it all inspired my creativity even more. So now my life is just filled with joy, and I use my creative gifts and talents every day and just some have some impact with my creative gifts, and it's just most rewarding thing ever. So I don't want to overwhelm you, but I just want you to know before we get into the steps that you are creative and we just need to find it, uncover it, and take good care of it, basically. So if you're ready, I will take you through the steps. The first, I guess, topic is really asking ourselves what lights us up. So maybe this is not the type of question you asked yourself before. We kind of know what feels good to us. It's like a comfort, pleasure, or excitement, or achievement, or many different positive emotions. But asking this question, a specific question, and my coach asked me this a lot, but what lights you up? Like what makes you come really alive? And it might be a little memory down the lane exercise that you might really just want to think back to your childhood, maybe. Or if you already know that you have things that light you up, then that's a good starting point. But I just want to mention that this is not really like a quick fix feel good. It's more like really playful and it just brings out that playful side of you. So you might be enjoying playing baseball as a kid. You might have been um love playing board games or something about without inhibition. What did you really like when you were a child? And even at work, like what do you really like doing? And we tend to label things, and maybe you can't really find what you like in your work or just even from school days. But just it doesn't have to be big. Try to find something small that really brought you joy. So, my one suggestion for unleashing creativity is choosing one activity that brings you that sense of play and joy. So it could be maybe for someone, it's like making espresso every morning, just brings them joy. And kind of choose that every day to bring you more joy. Incorporate that into your routine. Maybe you just only go swimming just once a month, but it really gives you so much joy. Then make it more consistent. And I also want to add one more thing to this exercise. And after, say, you went swimming that day, and make a note of like what part of it really brought you joy. So it's not the fact that you enrolled in swimming when you were younger because your dad was a professional competitive swimmer, so he wanted you to do it well. But it's more like for you, swimming is just kind of like you are observing the water and just kind of your world from a different perspective. So the reason I'm asking and inviting you to do this is that there's part of the activity that we just kind of don't notice easily, but there's really aspect of that activity that could give you clues for your next playful activity. So, for example, I like travel. Um, but there's parts of travel that I like that I bring into my life. So, for example, I like the planning aspect of it, and I like the forward movement that you're always going to the airport, gate, or you're going to a station. So you can always bring those elements into other activities. So if you can't go swimming every day for many reasons, then you can bring that part of sort of, if you like the higher perspective of things, maybe you could go hiking and just have a higher view. So it might just bring more activities into your life that could help you be more creative. Okay, so before we move on to the next step, I wanted to address this popular question. Creativity costs money, so I can't really afford to do things that I like, such as going on trips and watching like Broadway shows or something and taking classes. And I really want to invite you to start small. So, we obviously humans like comfort and we don't like big shake up change, probably not all the time. So, if we are going to be creative starting today, you can even start small. So, like I said, if you love making, um, say, cards, then go do that thing. You don't have to go manufacture something really big per se, but you could start with a maybe custom bracelet with the beads you have, but you don't have to get like big gold chains just yet if you are exploring your creativity. And just be curious. When I mentioned an elements of an activity, really pay attention after choosing one activity after this masterclass and go do it. And at the end of the day, before you go to bed, just write on a post-it what part of it really made me happy. It could just simply be like, I like the water, just a splash on my face. So keep it simple, start small. And for those of you who are really just have no clue where to start, I recommend this joy walk. So I got this tool from my coach, Tessa. So you just go on a walk in your neighborhood. So it's the same kind of places you already know, but it's kind of like you're going into this fresh set of eyes. So you're just walking, but it has to be like part of the neighborhood you like. Like you can't just go into like a construction site if you don't like that sort of thing. So you go in to the part of your neighborhood and just keep walking for, I would say, like 40 minutes. Good, at least 30 minutes. And really take in all the elements that you see, the sight, what you're hearing, the feelings, touch, or smell, and really make note of what really appeals to you. Not maybe preconceived notions, okay, oh, that's a restaurant or that's a bakery, but oh, that sign just looks interesting now that I look at it. I keep looking at signs. Maybe I like fonts, who knows? So I suggest you just go on a sort of like a curiosity walk. I call it joy walk because it's joyful for me. I love walks. Um, and really take time to observe everything that's happening on your path. And you might be surprised. You might find something. I'm like, oh, I never noticed that before. That shop actually had more things than I knew about. So I invite you to get curious. Second step, once you have an idea or two that you would like to try some kind of creative activity, and the next sort of challenge for a lot of people is finding time. So we take a lot of breaks. Maybe some people like to go for smoke breaks or just snack breaks, whatever. But creativity really needs focused time. So we go for movies with our friends or partners or family, but just going there and sitting in the theater, it's really not gonna engage your right brain because our brain will just kind of like search for something familiar or just kind of routine sort of thing. So you really have to carve out time and space for your creativity to explore the new sides. So finding time, it could be 5 minutes. So you don't have to know why you're doing it yet. but really make it your time, me time. So if you're going to an art class and you are taking your dog, maybe kid, I mean, before you go to an art class, you have other things, but that kind of, primes your brain for distraction. So I would suggest if you have carved out your creative activity time, really protect it. And it's really hard to do in some cases because you have so many things in your work schedule and you have to come home right away in a long commute and you have to do all these things before you go to bed and all these obligations from work, family, and it might be hard to find that time and space. Start with 5 minutes. Start maybe going into work early, 5 minutes early, and have that time in the cafe that you didn't think you could have before going to work. You're always just like rushing and getting coffee at the office, but you have this 5 to 10 minutes just for yourself. And think about what you would like to do for your creativity. It doesn't have to be a big activity yet. Maybe use that time to think about your activity. And I also mentioned this is such a common question, especially for women and men. I don't have space for my creativity. Like I live in a family home and kids and all these things, and just find a creative nook. It could just be even a closet if you have a walk-in closet. And I used to, when I was living in a place where a lot of people were coexisting, like roommates, whatnot, the closet space is actually a perfect place for journaling if you need some quiet, or some people like parks, some people like cafes, whatever suits your boat. But start thinking small and really protect that space and time and put it in your calendar. So that would really help your creativity. And obviously, if you do it consistently, it will really help you get into this creative discipline and routine. If you have any questions, just send me a chat. Thank you. How's everyone doing? Feel like I've been going a little fast, but just to recap, first, creativity is not just one thing. It could be arts, innovation, could be just new ways of doing things, communication, how to relate to people, or just having play and more entertainment in your life. And creativity can be learned and taught and also practice. And just more you do it, you can unleash your creativity and just use your creative gifts in your daily life. And first two steps, number one, was really think about what lights you up and what brings smile to your face. And find time to go do that. And if you need to set boundaries with other activities, and that's a perfect next step. Also, if you feel distracted during that time because of next item on the schedule, really try to bring back why I'm doing spending 5 minutes with my creativity. I'm gonna come up with something exciting for my next activity, or just I want to have 5 minutes of just feeling, thinking nothing. That might really help your creativity sometimes. So, the third step is listening to your creativity. Let me show you what I mean. So, when a little kid or a child is speaking to you, you are trying to understand what their perspective is, what their emotional state is, and trying to kind of know where they're coming from. And I think most grown-ups tend to refrain from, I mean, ideally, judge them or kind of stop them from their creative thinking. And I feel like we really need to give ourselves that patience and kindness. We are just living in a culture or some workplaces that sometimes creativity is not very outwardly appreciated. So we are just kind of doing a lot of same old tasks, and maybe we don't get to use our creativity at all in some of our workplaces. And our creativity is just not used to be being out there. In order for our creativity to come alive, that it needs to feel safe. And the reason that this is the kind of the middle part of the 5 step is that this could be a little bit, might take you by surprise when you're about to go do a new activity. You're all of a sudden, oh my gosh, what if people judge me learning to draw? There are a lot of messages and criticism or judgment, whatever you feel is appropriate term for this resistance or negative voice in our head. These things are the blocks to our creativity. And I really want you to take time when these messages come up, when these voices kind of are trying to stop you from going to that class, going to speak at an event, or doing some writing exercise with a group of people, or writing something on social media even. Just really notice the thoughts. You don't have to fight it or do anything about it, but notice what whenever you are trying to do a new creative activity, notice the messages and keep track of them and see if there's a maybe a pattern. And when you are kind of taking some time to listen to your creativity, it always has messages. It might say your drawings aren't going to be anything of substance, but if you know that it just gives you joy, if you know that you're not going to always selling your drawing to make it in the art world, after maybe you write that message down, you might think like, oh, that was just a message that I carried from my art teacher who actually didn't make it into art world herself, maybe, and she was just kind of like spewing out some anger, but it really didn't have anything to do with your creative side that you want to draw. And who knows, maybe it will go make something big in the art world, but it doesn't have to stop you from going to that art class that you really want and you haven't. And if especially if it's first time in many years, for example, writing something on my blog or on anything, like if you're expressing something new for the first time, no matter what our age, we're always going to feel some fear. And I want to tell you that this is just every human's nature is to feel a little bit of fear for even things like creativity. And creativity, to a certain extent, it's the most vulnerable thing to some people if you grew up in a kind of harsh, judgmental environment or very strict, rigid culture or system or religious, even maybe strict teachers or bosses or colleagues who just don't value art or creativity. So, creativity needs safe space to be expressed. So, I don't know if you're into meditation specifically for your creativity. think about what your creativity would want to say to you. It might say, like, still go do this new thing that you never got to do as a child. I mean, I'm not a dancer right now, but I really wanted to take lessons when I was younger, but I was already in grade six or sixth grade in America. My mom's like, you're not going to be the dancer that of that industry, so why even try? But I mean, that could have taught me something. Maybe that could have taught me how to feel more, connected to my body and not just feel so stressed in my body in years later. Or that could have taught me some creative discipline. I think it's just those little rejections or obstacles really could hurt our creativity in younger years. The things you really want are usually the ones that you couldn't do when you were younger or was met with some kind of criticism or judgment. So, really be kind to your creativity. Be kind when you're taking the first step. And I'm also here to help you. And this question, I always get this from my workshops: is creativity important? But what they're actually asking is it's not really valued in my world, in my current environment, in my office, or with my friend group, or my church, or in my family, or in my culture, even. But if you really search the web or social media right now, we have that art at our fingertips. You could definitely find one person that's doing something similar to your liking. I mean, these days, everything is so accessible, like events on Eventbrite or meetups, or even just you don't like certain kind of music, but there's a person in another country or another genre that you like, and really just listen to that. There's really place for every type of creativity. So, whatever your immediate circle is telling you may not be true. So, find positive examples. So, for example, I love the show Queer Eye, if you know, and I love so many elements of interior design, hair, and beauty, and I love the coaching. It's really fun. Sometimes that kind of show cannot be aired in some other countries that I know. Another example I'll just quickly share is that, like, I like the cozy things. And I really didn't think who cares about cozy blankets. I mean, like, yeah, you can sell blankets, but like this feeling. But it's actually a very popular term in Denmark. It's called hygge. It's just the feeling of coziness, and they're just obsessed with it, this country. And I bought a book about it, and there's now so many Instagram accounts just focusing on this hygge and coziness, just feeling of coziness. And when you're in an office environment, it was just hard to find that cozy feeling. I mean, there's some of it, like with coffee, but if you are really into that, just listen to that desire. I mean, it might not be in your current environment that you can find, but you might get that outside your current environment. So, this was sort of kind of deep aspect of unleashing your creativity. And I go into more fun, interactive ways to do so in a group setting with my workshop. So that's if you are kind of needing more support in this part of creativity, unleashing your creativity, definitely I invite you to come to one of my workshops in the future. Next step, this kind of goes with what I was just telling you about finding your type of creative interest, that you really want your creative tribe to be kind of like walk alongside you. When you're unleashing or expressing your creativity for the very first time, it's scary. Like, and it's like, what the heck am I doing? And what if people say about creative activity? Or what if no one likes my post that I wrote after spending 5 hours just loving this topic or of interest that I just discovered or from my childhood. But creativity could just come alive. You need people who see your creativity in a nurturing way, basically, or just acknowledging it. As I said, like, some people don't use their creativity in their lives, and they might not be the right people to show your creative masterpiece. And there are actually, critics that exist for the art world or culinary world or everything these days with social media platform that they're haters in every corner of the earth. So really be selective. I just want to invite you to find a group or a place to share your creative interest with people who appreciate your creative gifts. And in these kind of group setting, it is also scary to kind of go to a new group. And sometimes you're just kind of maybe you get disappointed that, for example, say you like this musician and you go find this group, but they're only talking about who she's dating or all the gossip. And you're not really getting this musician's passion of songwriting or something, and you wanted to write songs that are kind of similar to her vibe, maybe create a new group called Songwriting 101 or Songwriting Workshop, just like whoever. And maybe there are people out there who really wanted to do that, but just didn't think of making their own group. But if you are the one that creates that group, maybe all these people would show up. And good thing about the internet, people could come from any corner of the world. If you're not clear on what creative interests you might want to pursue, just try different things, but kind of low key, just no expectation that this group is my creativity group or this group needs to help me bring out my creativity. It's more like exploration. So go to an art class or two or three, and then, oh, maybe I like this type of art and I want to kind of go deeper. It's watercolor, or I didn't like the offline aspect of meeting and talking while drawing. Then maybe you go into the online community where you can take DIY course and unleash your creativity that way, and then just share the showcase. At the end of the project, you still get the social element. So really need to have some kind of awareness of what your creative tribe might look like. Okay, moving on to our final step. How are we doing on time? Let's see. Perfect. So, final step is commit to your creativity. It sounds very huge, but it's actually commit to kind of like go with your creativity wherever it takes you. And we're just starting our creative journey. Like we are finding clues about creativity, feel or think about new sides of our creativity. With all that happening first, what needs to come after is you really need commitment to unleash your creativity. Creativity, if you look up the definition, is generating ideas and producing something. So there's such a thing that you get too much inspiration. And right now with social media, I'm also guilty for this. We just get so much information. I don't think it's even information, just visual stimuli, and we're hearing and so many influencers doing this or that. And sometimes we really need to commit to our creativity without the distractions. And some of you, maybe you don't even have those kind of distractions, but you just have so many obligations and work, life, family things that you just can't keep investing in time and resources into your creativity. I suggest start small And just think about this question: how important that you prioritize your creativity at this time. And it might surprise you. And we just never thought of that kind of question. How important is that to you and your life and the world around you, that you prioritize your creativity after doing all the four steps? Think about why you need to keep going. And it might be a simple reason, and but that might be just enough to commit to your creativity and might bring some unexpected joy. And with all these steps, but we really need to start owning our creative gifts first before asking for others' approval or others' sort of permission to be creative. And we talked about it earlier in the beginning of the presentation that creativity brings so many benefits. And some people who maybe were hesitant to kind of like support your creativity may come around and they're like, what did you just do? And how cool that you made this thing, or how'd you come up with all these things? But it's really about our gifts need to be appreciated by us first. So I want to address this audience question. I don't think I have enough or any good talents. What do I do? We see all these amazing dancers or actors or movie stars or musicians or even like entrepreneurs. Your gifts are actually what you like doing. If we hadn't practiced that gift, it just not maybe fully practiced. But if we choose one and try to observe and really own why you appreciate that gift and what kind of impact that it would have in your life. We don't know until we choose our gift that we like and see what kind of gift could be taken to a mastery level, or what kind of gifts could be taken to a hobby level, or what kind of gift just to be my own thing, like that no one really needs to know about, or what kind of gift that could be shared with a lot of people. I think creativity has so many different sides. We don't have to limit ourselves. I'm not a dancer or I'm not an actor, so I cannot create YouTube. So it's very hurtful to our creativity. And I've gone through many of these limiting thoughts, and I could definitely talk more about these things later. So we could go deeper into the creative gifts and how to work with our creative gifts. But right now, for today, we're almost at the end. Share with me, even after this masterclass, what is one thing you could do in the next week to show up for your creativity? What is one thing you could do? So if it's a was a drawing class, sign up for a month, or it could be a walk. I mentioned joy walk. Schedule that time in your calendar to go on a joy walk to discover new sides of your creative ideas or new senses. Like, what are you noticing? What are you like? What haven't you felt or sensed before just walking in the same neighborhood? Just get into that curious mind with fresh set of eyes, fresh set of, I guess, ears and all your senses. And it might be fun. It might be really fun. It might be interesting for you to explore and engage in different parts of your brain. So, if you like this experience and the topic and the tools I mentioned or the processes really interest you, and you really want support on your creative journey that you're just starting, or if you're a seasoned creative, you just really want to go deeper into one aspect of your creativity, or you want to build creative discipline and have an action plan or strategy for your creative gifts to be unleashed into the world. And we can explore ways to for you to be more creative in your life, like today. And we'll discover ways to use your creativity and just bring out the best in you. Who knows do in your life or career or your relationships. It's really fascinating how creativity just unleashed could change every aspect of your life. If you are interested, use the link on the slide to start your creative journey with me in a complimentary discovery call. And I am so appreciative your presence and your questions and your interest in this masterclass. And I really hope that you could bring your creativity out into the world, unleash it to be seen as a creative person or as just uniquely beautiful person that you are, and just be who you are and just enjoy that joyful experience of being creative in your life and just bringing more joy and calm and feeling alive as human beings. So, thank you so much for your presence today. And I want to leave you with this quote that I wrote, that your creativity can bring unexpected joy. So get curious, go find something that brings you joy, and really unleash your creativity. Thank you.